Yo, what's up guys, Insane Game Freaker here to bring you another 3DS video game review. I'm saying 3DS because I haven't reviewed anything that wasn't 3DS since what? Well, no, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. I guess I'm full of shit. Anyways, I'm here to bring you Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate for the 3DS review, which technically I believe this is the second game in the new Castlevania trilogy storyline. Even though I haven't played the first one, so this will be coming from the perspective of someone who hasn't played a Castlevania game before, nor has played a Lord of Shadows game before. So this is complete newbie bullshit here. So let's get into it. Okay, so first off, just to talk about the story real quick, you don't necessarily need to know the plot line of Lord of Shadows to know this. Like, you don't have to play the first game to play this one, but I don't even think it really matters, because they kind of do. I don't really know how to explain. From what I understand, the ending of the first game was like, from what I understand, the ending of the first game was kind of like the same. Oh, this is a cliffhanger, and oh, we find out the truth of the Dracula family and whatnot. Even though I still don't know the full story, I understand the basic gist of it. That one of the Belmonts ended up becoming Dracula. I forget. I don't know which one though. And then this game pretty much is just another Belmont going to kill the Dracula Belmont, and that's how the story kind of rolls. Technically you play as 4 characters, but I'm only going to say 3 because the first character you play as, you don't play as him for that long, which would be Gabriel, Simon, Alucard, and Trevor. 3 of which are Belmonts, and 2 of which are directly correlated with each other, which I'm not going to say which one, because that's a quote-unquote spoiler, but I'm going to say something about the story real quick. It's really predictable by the time you hit around Alucard to Trevor's story about how this is going to end and what the mind fuck of this game is. It's really obvious. I think everyone and their grandma has already said that. It's just a really obvious, you fucked up now, boy, kind of situation. It's like, well, we know. Especially because when you get to Simon's part and you get to the end of his, well, actually the end of his and / Alucard section, you know how that ends, so you directly know how Trevor's part is going to play out. In which case, pretty much just tells you this is what's going to happen to Trevor at the end of this story. Since we know that Trevor is Simon's father. So you're playing as Gabriel, which I believe is Trevor's father, and then you play as Simon, which is Trevor's son, and then at the end of the game you play as Trevor, who is the middle ground character, so you know how this is going to end. Hell, for me just saying all that, and that's just basic facts of the game, of the characters, not even like deep facts into the characters, you should already know what the spoiler is. Anyways, moving on. So, going into the gameplay, because the story is kind of a non-factor, no one really praises the story because the story gives away its secret way too easily and quickly, and it makes it way too fucking obvious. Going into the gameplay mechanics, a lot of people view the style that this game was trying to do, quote-unquote trying, is the Metroidvania style, like Castlevania Symphony of the Night or Rondo of Blood, whatever name you want to call it, because it does the whole, you're exploring parts of the castle, you can find secret areas, you have to go through puzzles and fight enemies. There's a level up system in this game, and it pretty much tries to feel like a Metroidvania game. The problem is that it doesn't really carry over any of the RPG elements from that game, which puts me in a very weird position with this game in terms of the RPG factor. You know, usually in RPGs, what you spend the time doing is leveling up and grinding, and the stronger you get, the more abilities you gain, and how you can use extra attacks, and how your power and your defense, and you have your stats that increase by different increments and whatnot, depending on how you want to choose the grind and whatnot. This game doesn't really do that. Your level up system is only for one thing, to level up combos, which brings up the question, what the fuck was the point of having a level up system to begin with? Because that's the only thing it's used for. It only levels up your combos. Your HP doesn't go up with your levels. You have to find like these not canisters, it's like these coffins that either grant you extra HP or grant you extra magic, and those are the only 2 things you can do. Which brings up the question, and someone's messaging me like hell on this phone. Who is this? Is this for Jason? Messaging me on Facebook. I'm getting notifications. Yes, it is. Actually, let me make sure. It usually, yeah, it is. It is fucking for Jason. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put this we're gonna put this shit. Yep, see now he's spamming the shit out of my... I'm leaving this in the video. I want you to know if Jason likes to spam the shit out of me on Facebook randomly when he wants to start typing like a madman. Yeah, they're gonna be so mad if he actually watches this video, which I don't think he does, because, I mean, it's a 3DS video game review. Anyways, moving on. So, as I said, the reason why I'm kind of mixed with the level up system is not... It's for one, it kind of is only necessary for combos, which kind of takes away the RPG factor, considering it doesn't boost anything else. And it isn't like you can... I mean, I'll say this right now. When you're playing through the game, you're fighting the enemies at the consistent basis of their power the entire game. So they don't ever get any weaker than you, and you don't ever get any stronger than them. Meaning, every enemy potentially always has the ability to kick your ass. Which, as much as that sounds like a hindrance, is actually pretty... I was surprised how much I enjoyed this gameplay style, and the reason why is because it forces you to get better at the game. In the beginning of the game, I was getting my ass kicked on dumb sections, and it kind of annoyed me because I'm sitting there playing a game where I can't even fight a normal monster without dying. Boy, as you get better at the game and get more skilled at the game, and because this then forces you to be able to start looking through your move list. You know, the move list that you're gaining through XP. On top of the move list, you're learning how to use all the mechanics of the game. Because a lot of people, usually with these type of games, if it's a grinding game, you just use one particular attack and keep spamming that attack and won't use anything else. Because the game is forcing you to get better at playing it, you have to go and look at everything you have and use your weapons and sub-weapons and your abilities and your different types of combos and, you know, the guarding and the dodge rolling and everything. Use all that to its fullest extent. So by the time you beat this game, you'll be pretty fucking good at this game, which is cool. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I mean, I put in what really drives this point home is that some of the bosses you fight with, I think Gabriel and Simon, are like tough as shit when you first fight them. But by the time you get the Trevor story, those boss characters are now like mini boss characters and are fucking jokes. I was surprised how well I was beating the same character I fought maybe like a few days ago as Simon with Trevor, because Trevor doesn't have that many different, isn't that different from Simon to where his gameplay style changes drastically and it's like, oh, the boss is so much easier because of me playing with Trevor. It's because you've gotten so much better at the game and using the game's mechanics to fight the damn thing that by the time you get to Trevor's portion, that dude's a fucking joke. I was sitting there just like, whip, whip, oh, he's gonna jump on me, dodge roll, whip, 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 oh, you're gonna run at me, jump in the air, turn around, backhand the shit out of you, and then I'm going to walk over here and wait until you come at me again, and we're going to repeat the formula. And then on top of all that, and it's like, oh, you're going to use an attack that isn't unblockable, block, ding, 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 bah! Experience points. It's like the RPG factor, I feel like shouldn't even been in there. I feel like you should have just had it at certain portions of the game. I got certain combos instead of just, or those scrolls that give you XP, I feel like those should have just been the things that gave me combos. Because there's no point in having a level up system that only unlocks combos. There's no point in that because you don't get any new weapons in the game. The sub-weapons you get for that particular characters are the only sub-weapons you're going to use for those characters. And the abilities they only get 2 of them. Granted, some are more useful than others. I probably would say my favorites are probably Trevor's. One of Simon's is okay. Alucard is kind of a complete joke, which a lot of people make fun of. It's like, oh my god, Alucard's going to be in the game, because everyone loves Alucard from Symphony of the Night. But he's kind of like one of the most, he's probably not the worst character, but he's just not, he's like the least fun character to use. Except he does have a badass sub-weapon that allows you to slow down time. And that shit, you just thought you'd be like, throw it on the ground, bah! And just start, bah, 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 bah. You know, like 6 hits, and that nigga just like moving like, oh no. I love that, but Trevor, I will agree with everyone else. Trevor's like the funnest to use because Trevor breaks the game and certain. His sub-weapon allows you to take like an electric bomb, throw it on the ground, and for normal enemies, it just shoots them up in the air and they just start taking damage from the field. And you can walk into the field, and granted, if they get the full effect of the thing, you only have to hit them like one more time and then they'll die. But what you can also do is because your whip has the whole upward swing and then the straight swing, you can walk under the field while it's shooting them and just start doing the upper whips and shit. It's just so much fun to do. So the game is pretty enjoyable. Now the differences between, I guess, the 4 characters is that they have that their whips have certain different abilities. They all have base abilities, but some of them have different abilities compared to others. Like how Alucard has the ability to glide on like electric wires, and Trevor's actually, and I think what is Trevor's special ability? I don't think he has. I think the whip abilities don't really change that much. And some of them stack onto each other. Like, once Simon gets the ability to, like, actually swing rope and shit like that, almost every other character past Simon has that ability. So it's more of a stack / some have different variations. The sub weapons are all, as I've already talked about, the sub weapons and the familiars. Alucard's is kind of a joke because he has a wolf form and a mist form. The mist form is kind of helpful. The wolf form is only used to get through unbreakable walls that you can't normally get through. It's like a situation power up because it doesn't do anything in terms of his natural abilities. It's not like he's stronger in the wolf form. He can still get his ass laid out in the wolf form. And what's even dumber is that he still uses the whip in the wolf form. I'm thinking in the wolf form, I get to do melee attacks, run up on niggas, be like, bah! And like I would think his shit would change a little. It doesn't really change. Also the fact that Alucard's levels are mainly puzzle levels, because the thing is, during Simon and Alucard's stories take place at the exact same time period. So when you're playing as Alucard, you will constantly run into the same scenes you ran into when you were playing as Simon, when they're both in the scene. The only difference is you're now seeing how Alucard got to that situation, since in Simon's you saw how Simon got to that situation. And considering Alucard is helping Simon a lot in his story, it's a lot of puzzles for him to help Simon, which leads to very uninteresting gameplay. Granted, nothing was never insanely frustrating. His gameplay isn't that bad, but compared to the rest of the Belmonts, it's just not that fun to play versus those gameplay styles. To be perfectly honest, and I guess the other thing I will talk about before I finish up is that the exploration portion of this game is kind of bullshit too. And the reason why I say that is because even though this game is set up as if it wants you to explore every nook and cranny to find secret things, and there are secret things, the secret things aren't rewarding for you to go out of your way and look for. This is the 3 types of secret things you'll find. It's always one of these 3 things. You either find one of those coffins I said that can increase your HP and magic. You can find some barrels that may have little extra slots so you can use your sub-weapon more times. Or you'll find a dead soldier that has a scroll that will increase your XP, which will make you gain more combos, which I will admit I was using more combos than what I thought I would be using in this game, but it just doesn't really justify. But as in terms of secrets, for those the only 3 secrets you can ever find, it's just kind of disappointing. And it's like, if I feel like my HP is high enough, or granted it doesn't increase your HP or magic by a huge amount, considering you find they all, as I said, they stack through each story, meaning the ones you find and Simon's will stack into Alucard's, and that will stack into Trevor's, or the one, Gabriel, Simon, Alucard, Trevor. That's what I meant to say. So, I mean, it helps, but it's just not. I don't know. Considering from what I understand from the game that this style is on, there were a lot more hidden secrets. There were a lot extra things you could find. There were more interesting things you could do, and it was interesting. The boss fights are awesome. I had fun with the boss fights. The 2 problems I think a lot of people have with the boss fights is that it will autosave if you die in the middle of a boss fight, and on top of autosaving, there are also QuickTime events in the boss fight. Now, quick question. Am I the only one who feels weird doing QuickTime events on a Nintendo console? I'm just saying that just never felt like a Nintendo thing to me. Nintendo's never been a whole QuickTime event kind of company. I don't know why, that's just me though. Granted, Castlevania isn't necessarily a Nintendo franchise. It kind of feels like it because most of their games were on Nintendo consoles. But I'm just saying. The auto-saving thing is not really a huge issue to me. But I do wish there was the ability to turn it off. Where you would have to go through the game, you had to go through the boss fight straight. But it was there. But I think that was the advantage of making the boss fights insanely hard. Some of them are really hard. Like, I can only imagine myself beating these boss fights on the first try. Especially because the QuickTime events will kill you in the boss fight too. So it's like, if you fuck up a QuickTime event, you're dead. You don't just lose HP. You fucking die because of the way the QuickTime events are designed. So it's like, to run through that boss fight straight on the first try and get it is like nearly impossible for anyone to do. And I'm not good at QuickTime events because the QuickTime events, that's something relatively new in gaming. That hasn't always been there. But for me, the boss fights overall are still fun, and the auto-saving isn't a hindrance. I rather a game be easy and, you know, playable by other people than to be overly hard and no one can fucking touch it. That's just me, though. I think overall I've already covered the majority of the game. So if you want what my final verdict of the game is still worth playing. The game is fun, but it's one of those games that I could see people having a problem finishing it. Especially because there are certain sections that are overly frustrating, especially if you're the type of RPG kind of fan who likes to grind to like a certain level and wail on enemies, and you don't like the whole, oh, I had to get better at the game mechanic thing. This game may not be for you. Like, I don't think legitimate, like, hardcore RPG fans are going to like this game, at least in that aspect. Overall, I found the game rewarding. I found the game challenging. I overall had fun with this game. It's not a bad game. I think a lot of people have been giving it like 5s and 6s. I think it's better than 5, 6. I would give it a 7 or 8. I wouldn't give it a 9 because it limits itself in certain areas. Like, in terms of the whole combo fighting style, I have no problem with that. I just don't think it needs to be an RPG setup. Don't set it up where I gain experience. Just do like a combo, like call it a combo meter bar. Don't make it seem like when I level up I'm gaining this huge boost, because I'm not. I'm just gaining a new combo I can use, which, because of the way the game is designed, I will end up using the combo. I don't know, just the fake RPG system annoys me. The fact that we have an item slot list, even though you only get 2 sub-weapons in each character's part, and you only get like 1 whip. You can't even switch out whips. That's why I was like, oh, we have an item selections list. Like, it really fucking matters. It's not like you get 6 or 7 different types of whips, while each with their own attributes. You're pretty much either getting abilities that stack onto your whip, or you just get a completely new whip entirely that's inherently better because it has this one ability that you need to progress through the story anyway. So what the fuck is the point? And the familiar ideas are cool. So overall, I think it's still worth buying. Especially now. I'm not sure if it's any cheaper now. I mean, it came out what? It came out in March, so it might be a little bit cheaper now, but I thought it was worth buying at full price. I had fun with it. I got my money's worth. So, as I said, the story is kind of mayhem, but you'll enjoy the game regardless. Because to me, it's more about the gameplay than the story. The story, you can skip cutscenes like a motherfucker, so if the gameplay is fun, it's enjoyable. So, that's my thoughts, my opinions. I like the detail for the creatures and everything, so please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game, play to win. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.